Good afternoon, everybody. Are you able to hear me? Okay. So my name is Pankaj Mishra, and I'm part of the TCS's AI.Cloud unit, and I lead the sales and go-to-market strategy for the life sciences and the healthcare vertical for North America, and I focus only on the AWS business growth. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here and presenting a growth and transformation success story that drove tremendous business value for Cigna, and how did the collaboration of Cigna, TCS, and AWS came together. And without further ado, I'll pass on the baton to Rajesh. Rajesh, you can introduce yourself and take us through.
Oh, great. Thank you, everyone. My name is Rajesh Patel. I lead the architecture practice for the U.S. employer segment of Cigna Healthcare. Thankful to AWS and my partners here and all of you for being here today. I've been with Cigna for about 23 years in various different technology roles. With me is, you already met Pankaj, but with me is also Abhishek. He'll introduce himself a little bit shortly. And so today what we're going to do is, you'll see from the agenda, we're going to take you through a little bit of our journey and what we've kind of gone through. So we'll start with a little bit about Cigna and TCS, if you don't know about us, our partnership. The various challenges that we have faced and what kind of brought us together to embark on this journey. And then also the outcomes that we've seen and what the future is going to hold, right? So let's start with Cigna. Cigna is a large health insurer. We have three core segments. U.S. commercial, which is our U.S. employer segment, so think large corporations domestically, and health solutions. U.S. government, so that is our Medicare business, individual family plans, so like the Obamacare style businesses, and then our international health. So that's our large employers internationally, so that's a lot of expat type of business. So three core segments. Along with that, we also have our Evernorth Health Services. So that's our pharmacy business, a pretty large segment of our business as well. And to try to kind of put the breadth of Cigna together, we are about over 180 billion in revenue, about 70,000 colleagues worldwide. We operate in about 30 different jurisdictions, and our mission is to ensure the health and vitality of everyone we serve. We also have over, I think, escapes me now, maybe 100 million customer relationships, providers, health facilities, and things like that around the world. So that's Cigna. And what I'll do is I'll hand it over to Abhishek here to talk about TCS.
Sure. Thanks, Rajesh. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I want to thank AWS for having me here. My name is Abhishek Bhomik, and I serve as the client partner for TCS for Cigna. So TCS, or Tata Consultancy Services, is an IT services and consulting and business solutions organization that has been partnering with many of the world's leading business organizations in their transformation journeys for over 55 years. We believe in innovation, and collective knowledge can transform our futures with greater purpose. We are part of the Tata Group, India's largest multinational business group, and we have over 600,000 consultants across 55 countries. The company generated consolidated revenues of 29 billion in the last fiscal year. We are proud and grateful for the partnership that we have forged with Cigna over the past 2 decades, a journey of transformation, collaboration, and success. Our partnership has been defined by the purpose and the belief in driving positive change, delivering value to our customers, and empowering the communities we operate in. Together, we have dared to challenge the status quo, push the boundaries for the future, and innovate relentlessly. We have embraced change, adapted to shifting landscapes and emerging trends with agility and resilience as we have evolved through this journey that we have taken over the past 2 decades.
Fantastic. So Rajesh, Abhishek, first of all, thank you for giving us an overview of what we do as organizations. Now let's get straight to the point, right? So if you were to delve deeper upon as to what was the precursor when you thought about this overall modernization paradigm a few years ago, what were the challenges that you saw, and what was your joint goals that you envisioned during that time? If something that is you can delve upon a little deeper, Abhishek, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. See, employer-sponsored health insurance is a complex ecosystem which involves multiple stakeholders. I think it involves clients or employers, producers or who are called the brokers, and members who are the employees who actually get the benefits out of it, all revolving around payers like Cigna, who are the health insurance companies that provide this healthcare benefits to a lot of us here, right? What we realized is that 99% of the brokers prefer ease of doing business when choosing health plans to recommend to their clients, right? With technology being the number one reason brokers recommend a carrier to their client. When we did some research, we did some market analysis, what we found is that 41% of the employees who are the real beneficiaries of the health plans wish their insurers did more to help them understand their benefits, right? At the same time, we saw that 47% of consumers expect health plan suggestions based on their situation rather than them having to figure that out. This highlighted a lack of desired user experience and partnership that needed to change across the ecosystem, right? Clients and brokers today expect faster, easier, and quality experience when quoting and purchasing health insurance. Improving stakeholder experience and value is the key to being a carrier of choice for every health plan, Cigna not being an exception either, right? Employers today are demanding, they look for integrated benefits as opposed to point solutions when choosing a health plan carrier of their choice, right? So what we intend, so when we started our journey, we started with a goal that how do we look to build a transformation journey which was focused on elevating stakeholder experience for sure, but also impact the business outcomes of client acquisition with a target to double the new business sales and client retention by improving the overall renewals by 50%. Those were the few goals that we started with, right? But we took a very simplified approach when we started our transformation journey. Our approach focused on what we called a 4S strategy, which talked about simplification of technology solutions, streamlining of business processes to improve response times, again leading to a better customer experience, and standardization of customer outreach that would again deliver a consistent experience with the ability to expand the solution that we build across business segments. So what we embarked on, I think 3 years ago, almost, right, Rajesh, on a multi-year enterprise level investment that was purely centered around clients and every touch point of their experience in how they interact with Cigna throughout their entire journey. Ensuring that we look at how do we improve their onboarding experience by doing faster onboarding with greater efficiency, at the same time deliver an experience that allows them to see Cigna as an industry leader in operational excellence, right? So let's talk a little bit about how did we look at this whole end-to-end transformation when we started our journey. So we embarked on a transformation journey that focused on 3 key pillars, right? How do we enable our sales teams, which is sales enablement? How do we improve efficiencies that could drive affordability in the health plans? At the same time, efficiency, how do we look at efficiency to do things better, easier, faster, right? But we wanted to do this as a collaborative end-to-end strategy, not as a pointed, siloed solution in pockets, right? So we looked at transforming process, we're transforming how it was delivered to clients and customers, and technology to enable sales and operational teams to deliver market-leading solutions, right? Speed, precision with a leading-edge digital experience were the key pillars when we were conceiving the solution for the transformation. What we had was multiple solutions, manual workflows, point automation that allowed us to deliver that have been there for decades, being used to deliver or serve the customers. So what we were transforming from the need of many different systems and manual workflow to a single cloud-native connected enterprise platform that streamlines process using smart workflows, supports effective teamwork across businesses, right? And delivers timely and accurate results to brokers and clients. Our intent through this new platform, we wanted to deliver enhanced reporting capabilities, scalable intelligent automation, and integrated innovative digital solutions, right? Again, the goal was always to deliver an incremental business value over a period of time.
Wow, that sounds overwhelming, Abhishek.
Yeah.
And also a very complex problem to solve, right? And a very interesting transformation use case. Now, Rajesh, if you could delve upon, okay, how did you approach this entire transformation journey? Maybe in the next 20, 25 minutes, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, of course. So I think with any sort of transformation, there's always a little bit of marketing involved, right? I think these days when you hear the word transformation, people get scared. Historically, transformations have led to a lot of dire circumstances within an enterprise. So for us, what we have done is we've gone through a couple of branding changes in the 3 years, but we currently operate under Cigna Contour. Right, so as creative as it can be, Contour, because we're building a platform that's going to mold to the capabilities of the business and the business's flow, right? So by unifying under a single brand internally, you have, similar to in the industry, brand recognition within our enterprise. So our platform is known to be highly available, scalable, reliable, and quick, right? Quick to market. If you think about how much we have done in the last 3 years. So the way we've simplified everything to what Abhishek was talking about earlier in terms of the ecosystem, client acquisition and retention has many different components. So you can see here, we've simplified it down to 4 key pieces, right? Intake, so that's inbound, our RFP process. These are a little bit out of order, but quoting is then our underwriting process. And those two serve as the sort of back and forth sales quoting process. And then the build and install is in the back end of how we take what is sold and then it's moving through. All of this sits with AWS as the backbone, right? So we use those services to ensure a seamless experience for our end users internally. It also allows us to bring in other products that we know are going to be required by our business users. So our sales team is going to utilize Salesforce. And then we do utilize other software like Pega, and all integrated through the power of AWS services. We also know that our business is fragmented, regardless of what we may do or what we may build. So we use the power of AWS to bring these different technologies together. So it is simplified to show 4 key applications, but you can imagine the number of systems that move around it.
Okay, so now Rajesh, with the increasing pressure of managing your operational expenditures, the continuous demand of automation, and that too in a regulated industry like healthcare, what were those typical challenges you were trying to solve through the services that you used on AWS?
Yeah, so I mentioned intake, right? So intake, one of the things about our enterprise, and I think most companies, we are very manually driven, very document heavy, right? So in terms of trying to bring new technology solutions, a lot of the AI, ML, NLP early on has been utilized to try to automate these very manually intensive processes in the front end, right? We would receive emails, for example, 20, 30 attachments that somebody would manually have to go through. With some of these capabilities, we try to ingest those in and cut a lot of man hours out. Right, so if we talk about it a little bit technically, you can see here, like many enterprises, we probably have every software product that's out at the expo today in the enterprise and potentially in use that were all disparate and scattered, right? So with the power of AWS as our platform, one of the things we can do is bring everything together and connect it into one unified ecosystem. So if you think about a center out architecture, right, we are utilizing an orchestration layer to basically connect everything and move everything through. With the underlying infrastructure utilizing services, you can see EC2, EKS. We use Aurora Postgres is basically our core foundation in terms of data, right? So for a healthcare company, data is our number one asset. And we utilize Aurora. So it's very interesting to see some of the things talked about in the keynote today, yesterday actually, with DSQL and some of the other offerings that are coming out that are going to be very, very interesting for us. But you can see also, I mentioned AI, ML, NLP, and you can see that's utilized there. We use TextTract, Comprehend, but all of this is sort of early on, right? We started about 2 years ago. And so as services evolve, we'll have to evolve as well. So one of the things that we know is in our environment, like many others, we still have a lot of legacy systems, right? So if you look at the way we've laid out this view, imagine a bunch of other legacy systems connecting in and out, right? And so you have a foundational center out architecture, and then sort of on the heels of it is maybe a transition or a hybrid to an event-driven architecture, right? So we are orchestrating through all of these processes and legacy systems, but with those legacy systems, we also have a lot of high-touch triggers that would be required, right? A lot of real-time activities, a lot of turnaround, like Abhishek mentioned before, that clients expect. Everyone wants things, including in their healthcare, similar to their bank, right? And that's how people will view systems like ours. So one of the additional things that sort of the AWS services have provided us as a platform is given us the ability as an enterprise to establish patterns, right? So not only are we delivering this platform, but as we're doing this, we're delivering patterns, even if they're as simple as an authentication pattern, or an example is, just the ability for a team to spin up an S3 bucket with all the security that's there. It really simplifies their delivery day to day, right? So within our environment, if you wanted a NAS storage, for example, you might wait 3 months, go through all this processing that you have no idea as a developer how to do, versus today, somebody may just go into a repository, put in a bucket name, next thing you know, everything's ready to go. No longer do they have to worry about all that turnaround time and red tape to go through. So it's definitely improved, I would say, the day-to-day workability for a lot of our developers. And then cost and consistency, right? So it's a lot easier to consistently deliver based on the demand that the business is giving us. So what all of that results in, you can see some of the feedback here. We have a lot of positive feedback from our business users, all right? So the solution we have envisioned has seriously come to life. The user experience has been big. Even if it's a little bit behind the scenes, our users no longer have to go through 4 or 5 different applications. They're staying in one place, and we are doing everything behind the scenes. So it's really helping their day-to-day jobs. One of the things that's not shown here, although it's noted here where it says, I'm surprised by the enhancements made and how quick things are moving. So that's a testament to how fast we're able to deliver, because we no longer have all these lead times with infrastructure and all these other services. But this is very much a end user view of our outcomes. What's not here is what the development team may say behind the scenes, right? So their lives have improved. Things have gotten a lot easier for them, like I mentioned, patterns, but also in terms of their careers, working on a modern platform, working on AWS is something that's very important for them, right? Especially when you may have career developers who have been in our enterprise working on old technologies, not sure what's going to happen next, right? As you start to bring in these services, it really helps retention, right? So I know I specifically have seen attrition go down in our development practices. So it's not just the transformation of the business processes and the systems and the technology. It's also a transformation in our people, which is allowing us to then deliver faster, right? The longer healthcare is very complex. The longer we can retain people who understand how it works, the easier it will be for us, and myself included, to be able to deliver and push things out, right? So with all of that put together, whenever we talk about being able to deliver something, and we say, yes, we can deliver something in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month, you would get eye rolls. Most of the time, business wouldn't believe us. Delivery team would be stressed. And now that's changed, right? Significantly changed. I will say one of the things that has become difficult, and what I kind of say is a lot of my staff, especially, has had business minors or an MBA, right? And one of the things I always talk about is they've had to dust that off in lieu of some of their legacy skills, because they now have to learn things about cost containment, right? So, as an architect, especially all my architects, they've had to get their Excel skills brushed off a little bit. We require design reviews that have financial impacts, cost containment, infrastructure, trade-offs, and really a platform like this and the foundational services allow us to have that kind of practice behind the scenes.
Why don't we talk a little bit about some of the capabilities and patterns that we were able to pilot on Contour and then literally export it to the enterprise? Like, we can talk a little bit about FinOps, right? When you talked about cost containment.
Yeah, so for example, EKS is a pretty expensive service, although extremely powerful, right? So for us, we have a private cloud that we used to use extensively. And it was very difficult for teams to figure out how are they going to containerize something like Pega, or we have some proprietary actuarial systems. And so what the team was able to do in actually working with AWS and TCS is essentially come up with a simplified pattern to be able to deploy to EKS, right? So all the Terraform, all of the naming standards, all the security, everything like that sort of packaged together. And really all teams needed, whether it was the Pega team or whether it was the actuarial team, was their base compiled code and these patterns, right? Which then allowed them to move to scale. So you would have to spend months trying to figure out how you were going to build something, and then you would have to spend potentially 6 months waiting for infrastructure to end up in our data center and then try to deploy everything out, right? So with the ability to have a pattern like our EKS pattern, and then the underlying infrastructure services, you could turn around an environment that used to take us 6 to 9 months in a week or less. So yeah, very, very powerful with the ability to have those patterns and then also deliver on budget.
Right.
So where are we going to kind of go from here, right? So to try to bring a lot of what we had together, right? This is kind of our journey view. So we cannot transform overnight. So the technology available to us has been able to reduce the fragmentation that I sort of spoke about, and give the user experience that we are a unified platform while we continue to work behind the scenes. AWS has helped for the speed and scale. And so we have the foundation to literally build and deploy anything necessary. So it's extremely versatile. And as Abhishek mentioned, a big advantage to go to market. We spoke about how we started with the business flow leading into bringing things together with AWS services. So we're sort of in the middle of our journey here, even though it's in year 3. Our systems are live. We are using them. We are transitioning between some of the legacy systems. We are continuing to integrate some processes and workflows. But we are faster, we are better, we are cheaper, and we continue to build on this foundation. Obviously, with a unified system like this and this goal, one of the biggest things is what's next in terms of data and analytics, what advanced solutions will come into play, and how can we start to get an ROI in the investment that's been made, and have we gotten to the goals that were mentioned earlier in terms of 50% faster implementation, less complex renewals. And then also, what do our clients and brokers actually think? So it's exciting to see what the partnership will hold and what different AWS offerings we may be able to incorporate in the future as well.
Yeah, and one of the key learnings that we had, so when we started this, I think the first MVP was in production in 3 months, right? Where we were doing intake reading those documents, tens of attachments to an email using AI, ML and everything. So we started that with the journey of the first MVP being in production. But what we have also learned that for a large transformation, the business sponsorship from an enterprise for a sustainable period of time is important, but that can only be justified when you are able to deliver incremental value as well as quantify those business benefits. So what we end up doing is we end up writing a business case almost every 6 months to 9 months, right? That what we have been able to deliver as a business value and how we are taking this transformation forward. So though it might look like a 3-year transformation journey, we probably look at it as an increment of 10 to 20 weeks every time we move forward.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that happens there too in terms of the technical aspect of having to constantly update your business case or value is the technology is still constantly changing, right? So something that became available to us, do we want to enhance? One of the fears always is when you make an investment this big, how fast will Contour turn into legacy, right? And so we don't want it to ever turn into legacy anymore. So that's not just in terms of patches and things like that, but in terms of the actual content, what the system can do, future-proofing it, we have to consistently iterate it, not only with the ROI, but then how can we figure out the business value, then also the technical value, so that it's current at all times. It is very helpful to be able to fail fast with AWS, right? Spin up a service, see if it works, do a POC, or, bring it back down, to then be able to provide the data for the business case, so we can attach a technical business case with also the business ROI.
Yeah, that's the technical business case, right? So refactoring is a norm. We'll have to constantly refactor the platform. So a nice example would be all the NLP work that we talked about. Had we had Gen AI then, right? Had we had it there, we would have built it in probably 1/4 of the time, right?
Yeah.
But we had to build all of those capabilities on our own when it was there. It was all using still the AWS services, but it was built pretty much grounds up as opposed to we could do it with an API call these days. So refactoring, I think, has been a core theme that we had to always factor in and see which part of it is becoming legacy, refactor it to make sure it's current to the needs of the business as well as from a sustainable platform as well.
Yeah, and that includes a sales pitch too, right? Required to our business leadership. So, for the example Abhishek just gave, we've built this process for ingesting emails. It's been in this environment for 2.5 years. We've already started talking about redesigning it. That's not an easy sell to say, give us more money to invest to redesign it. But it's what will be required with the speed of technology that's coming. What our foundation allows us to do is sort of parallel design, right? So we can come up with the new process using Gen AI in parallel for a much smaller investment, and then figure out if that's the route we're going to take. So we have a long way to go still, but as you can see, we have a very, very strong foundation. So I think, Pankaj, as you know, we are here at delivering the accurate results, but now the question is, how do we accelerate from the middle here towards the end and then go further? And I think the power of partnership really comes into play here to be able to accelerate significantly.
No, absolutely. Very well interjection of where do we see AWS coming in as a collaborative partner. So the overall sense of our partnership is based on the core principles of being open and being transparent to each other, right? And the closeness with which we work with AWS, be it the product teams, be it the partner development managers, the partner solutions architects, the account executives, the account SAs, the technology leaders from both sides, I think that's really helped us to stay grounded, moving in the right direction, with of course only one thing in mind: what works best for Cigna, what's in the best interest of Cigna, right? So how closely we work with them is something that we're very proud of. And this Cigna use case is a great example of the power and the depth of our partnership with AWS and what we've been able to drive together in terms of driving the business value, and of course, through the right constructive feedback as well. And if I may, right, if I may have to take some names like partner solutions architects like Tony Vargas, Shiva Thangovel, I think they were instrumental in kind of reviewing the architectures along with us, along with Rajesh and the team, and providing the key insights to make those architectures better. People like Nikhil, who come from the partner development team, we have Michael Harris, we have Michael Trotman, Paul Olson from the account team, and of course Dhirain from the technology side, our leadership as well. I think everybody came on together to give you the right insights and the feedback at the right times to kind of continuously move in the right direction. The other aspect was very important was the architecture review and designs, right? So TCS team, as we all know, is very strong when it comes to the business acumen, the industry domain, and the expertise around it. And that is when we thought having the technology might from AWS complement our expertise in the industry and the domain area would go a really long way, right? And when I do remember an experience where we were doing an architecture review for the intake process, and the AWS folks come into the room and say, yes, we have our love for the EC2s, but then can we relook at the designs and try to containerize it, right? So those were the kind of the right interventions at the right time from the AWS technology teams, which I think helped us move forward in the right direction. Another aspect, you talked about how can we kind of leverage more, right? So in terms of, I did see that in your solution side, you was talking about using Amazon Textract, Amazon Comprehend to kind of scan through a lot of documents and make meaningful insights out of them using Textract and Comprehend, right? Now, of course, we've used that in fancy phases right now. Now, how do we move from this AI ML based architecture to more of an agentic AI architecture in the future is something that we look forward to collaborating with AWS. And if I have to kind of give you an example for another customer as to how do we collaborate, there was a use case which was given by this customer, and they were like, okay, can you do this, let's say, using Amazon Q? And this was at a time when Amazon Q was not even generally available. It was still in the preview mode. Now, through the partnership that we enjoy, we actually got the access to the service engineers who design those services. And for us to build that POC or an MVP for the customer, it merely took us 3 weeks, right? And normally the approach is where we do a demo, we record it, and then we play it to the customer. But then we took a bold step. We said we'll do the demo live in front of you with the backing of the service teams behind the scenes, right? So that's the partnership that we kind of enjoy. Again, keeping one thing in mind, what works best for the customer. Right now, we are in discussions as to how do we use GenAI intervention to kind of create these step functions to kind of seamlessly provide a workflow orchestration for you. Then comes the joint innovation, right? A lot of time that we spend is on ideation as well, where teams from both the sides, they come together. And how do we do it? We do it through account-specific workshops. So far, we've done around, 10 to 12 GenAI roadshows in North America for many customers, many verticals. So we get access to those bright minds from both sides, and we kind of ideate as to what would work well for the customer, which is aligned to their kind of driving principles and the priorities for the future. Now, I'm sure the MarTech log says that the technology, while it rises exponentially, the skills in an organization, it rises logarithmically, right? So there's a huge gap between where the technology is today and where the skills are, right? So we also lay a lot of focus on how do we right skill the people through the partnership that we enjoy, right? And of course, enablement through architecture reviews, and of course, how do we optimize by using the right services in an architecture, something that we collaborate a lot on. Finally, and when it comes to GenAI as well, right? When you were talking about this AI ML services, Amazon Textract, Amazon Comprehend, which we're using, now can we also make that additional step and move towards an agentic AI kind of an architecture is something that we would definitely like to work on in the future. And that's the kind of brains that we get from AWS. Now, coming on to the last part, the business case, right? How do we create a compelling business case for a customer, and of course, in this case, Cigna, right? So there were many applications which had to be kind of modernized. And the approach, what we observed was, okay, let's do one application at a time. And that was when we introduced the power of, can we consolidate everything into a one large project and thereby maximizing your migration acceleration program, the MAP investments, right? And how do we do that? We kind of look at how do we maximize the annual recurring revenue on the AWS side and thereby maximizing your MAP investments right through the assess phase, the mobilize phase, and the migrate phase. So that helped a lot. And I think the MAP BDs from AWS, the account team from AWS played a significant role in kind of enabling that and kind of breaking those entry barriers in order to kind of move forward in this migration and modernization journey. And of course, FinOps, what we think is, it's not an afterthought. It has to be thought through right at the start of any modernization or a migration approach phase. And what this kind of got into a destination state was, how do we review these architectures with AWS right at the outset, so that we are using the best of the services, optimizing the overall architecture design, and thereby not kind of overbleeding in your cloud spends, right? And the third was, of course, how do we bring in this partnership to bring about a lower cost to change, and thereby bringing the best of the services which the customer can use, and of course, complemented with the right domain and expertise. So that's what we did, and I'm sure you're privy to that, Rajesh, in terms of how the collaboration of AWS and TCS came together for Cigna.
Yeah, I think one thing I'd add, especially around the business case and MAP investments, is I think the age of trying to sunset a legacy system is just very, very difficult, right? I think for us, the joke internally is we don't ever sunset anything, we just keep adding new, right? So one of the things we've realized, especially with the ability to leverage something like MAP, is not just the aspect of lift and shift and then offset your cost, but if you start to reduce the capabilities of a legacy system, naturally its usage goes down and the business's desire, or I should say their fear of losing that system, starts to fade away. It's very difficult to do that without some sort of, I'll call it a bridge, right? And so when you think about the business case, whether it's, a MAP investment with the FinOps practice, it starts to free up capital that then allows you to reduce these capabilities and not have to push the business to change when they don't want to, right? So I think as Pankaj mentioned, the cost of change can be very high if you do something too quickly. So it's very critical to be able to have some sort of protection, I guess you could say, and that's kind of what falls into the business case aspect of things.
So yeah, that's all what we have to kind of share about this transformation journey, and we'll stick around. We still have around 20 minutes, so we'll stick around. We know this is a silent session, so if there are any questions, we are here to answer them. But yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.